In this video, we're going to take a look at the veterans, paralyzed veterans dataset, and the idea of this video is to run you through a whole process on the logistic regression and creating a logistic regression that includes variable selection, splitting the data, predicting and obtaining predictive performance. So to get you back to speed, this dataset we have worked on in the past is called Paralyzed Veterans data, and it's PVA 97 NK CSV. Just to remind you of what the data looks like, what you have is a lot of predictive variables trying to predict whether um, somebody will donate money for paralyzed veterans. You have information about a past campaign and whether those particular donors actually donated in the past. So you have information about their age, gender, whether they're homeowners or not, um, home values, median income. Um, you have information about the kind of gifts that they have given in the past and the promotions that we're running at that time for the organization to be able to get those donors to donate. Finally, the variable of interest is the target D, the target B flag, which is whether the person donated or not. Target D is the amount of donation, so this would also be a target if you wanted to do a regression on it. But we're for now focusing on the target B variable. We have already worked in this data set before, so we have already um, done a few examples and actually a few modifications to the code. So I want to run over the data set one more time. So you have the variables here. The main things that we did was um, change a couple of variables to be a factor. So the first one is target B, as it is um, a numeric variable. We changed it to be a factor just to show you that how variable changing the variable types should work. We changed the ID variable as well. Although it is a variable we're not gonna use, we just at that time we're showing you how to do it. The demographic cluster variable, we changed it as well to be a factor, as well as the status category. The next thing we did was that we actually um, changed or got rid of some dollar signs that some of the variables had. So one of the main issues of this data set is that it contains observations about money, and the money variables start with the dollar sign in them, so we have to get rid of those. So we did this using the gsub function, and we can go ahead and run that one more time just to keep where we left off. We also analyzed the variable income and found there were many zeros in there, and we thought it was more appropriate to have those zeros be changed to missing values, as they did not really mean that the donors had zero income, but basically they did not want to report their income. So that's what we did at that time, and that's where we are going to start off. The structure of the data set should look something like this, where you have the target B variable be a factor, you have some other predictors, and you have a few factors in there and a few numeric and integer variables, but you should not have any dollar signs. And in other At that time when we looked at this data set, there were some issues with some of you just getting the data correctly coded. So what I ended up doing was saving this data set into event data.rdata, which is an R data file, um, and so that you can get back to speed, this data is located under, I have it up there, the code that we use under Paralyzed Veterans code, and then we have a data set, vet data dash one.r data. So you can actually download this data and start right where we left off without having to rerun all of this code.